All right, welcome back to Spring News at 7. We now go back to Ondo State governorship election, and we take a look at the challenges, lessons, and recommendations. And I'm now being joined by the Executive Director of Center for Transparency Advocacy, Faith Nwadishi. You're welcome on News at 7.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
All right, a lot has been said about the conduct of the 2024 Ondo State governorship election. How would you rate that election, and what would you consider the major challenge?
Thank you very much for having me on this program again. This election, since the 2023 general election, has been, you can adjudge it as the best election in the circle because we've had 3 off-season elections. The first was the Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa elections. In September, just 2 months ago, we had the Edo election, and now we just had the Ondo election. So if you compare these 3 elections, you will see that this election showed some progress from the other election. So every stakeholder along the value chain of this election did try to do their best. But again, we have seen that the political class still falls short of the kind of progress we are looking forward to them to perform. And again, also the citizens too. This idea of vote buying has become a challenge, and I would say that the greatest challenge of this particular election that we have just seen, because logistics, for the first time, we saw that logistics was good. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. Across about over 90% of the polling units, the election started at 8:30, and that's because by 7:45, 8 a.m., ad hoc officials were already on ground at those polling units. So that's an improvement. And the BVAS and the IREV also worked, even though the courts have said we don't do collation of results using results on the BVAS, but BVAS, the results that were uploaded to the BVAS was quite fast. The IREV was quite fast, and the usage of the BVAS during the election was also very fast. I sat down and I timed. I took note of the time it took to accredit voters on the BVAS, and it was giving me between 20 seconds to about 30 seconds, but the entire process of the election took about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. So that's to get from accreditation to voting. It was that fast in some polling units, even though there were some reports in other polling units. But then on the average, it was taking about 3 minutes for one person to get accredited and to vote. The security agents were professional in their way, but I think that if they had done seriously what they were supposed to do, they would have been able to nip the issue of vote buying in the bud. Even though we can commend the DSS, there was a major arrest. I don't know what the state of that individual is right now, if they are going ahead to prosecute the individual or they have let that individual go as usual. I was at that polling unit when they arrested that particular individual who had bags of money in his car and machete, and he was arrested because he didn't have any business coming to the polling unit with that kind of money. But it didn't happen in other places where they actually turned the polling units into a buying and selling ground. So for me, that issue around vote buying will be the greatest challenge that we have in our election, and is gradually becoming a norm in our electoral process.
All right, vote buying was a major issue during this election. We are aware you shared some recommendations during your report, but do you think it affected the credibility of election, and how do you feel this can be curbed?
Of course, if people come out to vote because they were induced to vote, it means that they didn't really come out to vote their choice. And it also shows that citizens are not engaging the issues the way they should engage the issue. Your sentiment or your conviction to vote for a person shouldn't be based on how much you are getting from the person. And you know, before the election, there was this slogan of the Boko Sobe, and people are now, well, after the question I'm asking, okay, you have voted, you have collected the money. I hope that the pot of soup you are going to cook will last you for the next 4 years. So this is the reason people go out, they sell their votes, and they come back complaining that this person is not working, that person is not working, this political party. But you have the opportunity every 4 years to make a loud statement, put yourself, assert yourself in the position of the CEO, your power to hire and fire. Let the people know that you have this power to hire and fire, and then and I'm telling you, they will just conform to what you want. You know, in the past, we didn't really have issues around the vote buying. You know, it wasn't this bad until we started seeing 5,000, 1,000, and then 5,000, and then up to 20,000 that people are paying for votes. Now, people think it is business. This kind of business is not good for our country, for our governance. It's not good, because the more you collect this money, the more you embolden the political class, you embolden the impunity, and you embolden the fact that people are not doing what they are supposed to do when you elect them into office. So we have recommended, like I said, the security agents, they try to do their best, but I think that they should do more. A situation whereby people are selling votes and you are on the field, you know that what they are doing is wrong. You cannot act. You are waiting for the INEC official that is administering elections to call your attention to the fact that people are selling votes. It doesn't go well for our system. Election crime is not different from any other day crime. And the first responsibility of security agents is to arrest any situation where criminal activities are done. You don't wait for somebody to tell you that there's a criminal activity going on before you can say, okay, this is criminal activity, let me take action. You know, it was even most appalling when one of our colleague who went out to observe the election, and who also is a media person, was accosted by a police officer, and he was asking him for money because he mistook him for a party agent. He called him and said, where's our money? And when he introduced himself, he walked away and went to look for the next party agent. I was asking openly. He wasn't hiding it. He was asking openly for money from party agents. So a situation whereby you have security agents asking for money from party agents, what will they do when they see a crime being committed? So it's really heartbreaking for me, because this election, I really followed it up. I was on ground for more than a week, and I followed all the processes just to get to the field and to see that our elections have been, polling units have been turned to business ground where there's vote trading, and people are even haggling, oh, this gave 5,000, you didn't give 10,000. If you give 5,000, you won't get our votes. You know, it's so appalling to see that we have degenerated to that level in our electoral history.
All right. According to statistics, about 24% of registered voters turned out for the vote in Ondo State on Saturday. What would you attribute this low voter turnout to?
Hello?
You didn't get that? Let me ask you again. According to statistics, yes, about 24% of registered voters turned out to vote in Ondo State on Saturday.
That's right.
What would you attribute this low voter turnout to?
A lot of factors on ground. The different stakeholders play their own different roles on this. And if you look at the statistics again, you find out that even the young persons between the age of 18 to 30 didn't really turn out. You had people who were older and elderly people who turned out to that election. So it is one thing, why are the young people not participating in the electoral processes? On election day, they prefer to go out perhaps to the field and play football. Meanwhile, the elderly people are saying the election is happening, they cannot stay at home, they want to be part and parcel of this process. And these were the exact words of a woman that is over 90 years and a person with disability at that. She was practically being carried around at the polling unit. And when I asked her, she said she cannot be at home to see that election is happening. She prays for a better Nigeria. She sees small change, but it is not what she expects, and that even if she dies today, she will be happy to know that she has contributed her quota, to making Nigeria better. Imagine a woman that is over 90 saying that, and you are not getting the same kind of feedback from the young persons who we are hoping will be the leaders of tomorrow and change things around. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is, this narrative about our votes don't count. So the politicians are now capitalizing on the fact that our vote don't count to keep people away from the polling units. Now, if votes don't count, I wonder why politicians are buying votes at 20,000 naira per vote. Because they themselves know that their vote is just one vote. Unlike those days when you come out to vote and then ballot boxes are stuffed, they use all kinds of things to print on the ballot. Now, you know that with the PVC, it is either you have left your face at home or your fingerprint at home, you will not be accredited. You don't have the issue of voter theft anymore, voter identity theft. You don't have it anymore. But the narrative still keeps on that things are not improving at all. And then the other aspect also is the connivance of both the traditional rulers, community leaders, and even religious leaders. Everybody now is playing a role. This is the person that we want. Imagine going to a community and you hear people saying, this is the person we want to vote for. If you know you are not coming to vote for this person, stay at home, don't come out. So those things keep people away. And again, going into the election, this narrative about violence, unnecessarily hitting of the polity and making it look as if people come out on election day, they were going to pursue them, there was going to be violence. We saw this election, unlike previous elections where you have reports of violence, but it didn't happen so much in this particular election. So these are the things that keep people away from our vote, from our polling units. And most importantly, politicians who get elected into office most times do not keep to their promises. They come make promises to you. This road will pass to your community. In the first 3 months of our being in office, we are going to tar this road. We are going to give you fertilizer. We are going to give you water. And you are waiting 3 years. Down the line, nothing happens. And these same people who have not come to your community for 3 years, the next electoral process, they will still come again. And people are just concerned about that. So some of these things are the reasons why people don't come out on election day. But it's quite unfortunate that only 24% of voters could decide who wins in an election, because it says a simple majority, and it's a simple majority, and so the total number of persons who come out per local government area decides who wins the election. 24% of people decided who got this, and the people who didn't come to vote in the next 4 years, they're going to be part and parcel of citizens in that state, and they are not making use of their mandate. They are not making use of their power. They are keeping quiet. Is akin to somebody whose parents have left them a vast estate, and they don't know that this vast estate is yours to administer. Rather, you leave it for somebody to come to administer that estate on your behalf and be giving you peanuts, and you're so happy that the person even recognizes you and sees you. It is during campaigns that you see political leaders calling the people, oh, we are your servants, we are your this. But as soon as they get into the office, the people that turn to the servant too.
All right, so I want to appreciate you for joining us on News at 7.
Thank you.
Want to appreciate you. Thank you very much for joining us. Before you go, what is your overall assessment on the election, and what are your recommendations? What do you think should be done?
Okay, so recommendations for the different stakeholders. Number one, to INEC, whatever they did to make logistics work and open polls on time, I think they should go back, reassess that, and see how to consolidate on that. For the security agents, the IGP started branding different numbers, 22,000, 35,000, 36,000. I think that even if you had over 5,000 different places where police were going to man, and you are having 4 persons, you will need a maximum of 20,000 police officers to man that. So the number, there's no need to brand those numbers when we know that we are not going to, use that number that we have. And then the security agents should be properly trained on what their duties are. Political parties are the overall beneficiaries of whatever we go to do, the resources we put into making our elections better. They should also make an effort to make this better. And then finally, for the young persons, we should come up with a strategy to capture these young people, let them know that it is their right to vote, their responsibility to vote, it is their right to ask questions and hold people accountable. But if they don't come out to vote, that right, they are getting that right to the political class, and they will not be able to question when somebody has not done something right. So it is the collective effort of everyone in Nigeria to make sure that our electoral processes continuously improve, and we have a better feedback from it by assessing those we have asked to be in office on our behalf.
All right, thank you very much. I've been speaking with the Executive Director of Center for Transparency Advocacy, Faith Nwaadishi, on the challenges, lessons, and recommendations, talking about Ondo governorship election. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.